Hello everyone, welcome to Infra Experts. This is the fifth session on Terraform on AWS. So till now we have seen the basics of Terraform AWS, Terraform, how to install Terraform, how to create an EC2 instance on Terraform, how to create an EC2 instance with a dynamic AMI ID on Terraform, and also we have seen about the splat operators, the legacy as well as the latest splat operators, the count operator, and also we have seen how to generate the outputs and all. So in this session we will be speaking on Terraform loops and functions. So here what all we will be seeing and what all we will be understanding are for each meta argument, TwoSet function, Tomap function, and also we will be seeing one data source which is AWS Availability Zones. So we won't be wasting much time, and this will be basically a practical session which will be conducted. And here in these configuration files there won't be any changes made from what we got in our previous session, which is the fourth session. So versions, variables, EC2 security groups, and AMI data source, in these four configuration files there won't be any changes. So let us go ahead with our Visual Studio. So here we are in our Visual Studio. So let me do one thing. Let me just copy these AMI data source, EC2 instance, EC2 security groups, outputs, variables, versions, and also the key file from here to the fifth session. Okay, so this is done. Now, as I said earlier, that there won't be any changes in versions, variables, EC2 security groups, and AMI data source. So these will be the same. So we are going to have some changes in EC2 instance configuration file, and we are going to implement for each in here. For that purpose, we are going to define the availability data source over here. So for that, let us go to Google and type this. So we'll be moving to registry.terraform.io, which we already saw earlier. So the availability zone data source allows access to the list of AWS availability zones, which can be accessed by an AWS account within the region configured in the provider. So what will it do is, it will be with this availability zone data source, we will be means creating the EC2 instances in each and every availability zone for the respective region. So for that, what we need to do, we need to copy this only local zones from here. So before that, in here, if you give availability underscore zone equals to some value over here, if you try to add this availability zone here, so for each instance, when you use for each availability zone, you need to have the EC2 instance created in different AZ. For example, if you have, let's say, 6 AZ in this respective region, so for each AZ you need to create one EC2 instance, and that is possible using the meta argument for each. So before creating the for each, the first thing we need to do is to get the list of AZs present in the respective region. For that reason only, we need to go in here and take the data source which provides the list for us, and we will be going ahead with the only availability zone, no local zones with this. Okay, and what we need to do, let me just remove it first. We need to mention it in here. Let me first comment, okay, and paste it in here. So in here, let me give the local name as my A zones. Okay, and let these filters opt-in status and opt-in not required be thus whatever it is. So what are the attribute references here? You can see it from here, and this will be providing the list of availability zones for us. So we need to go to the attribute references, and in here you can see this name. So if you go in here and just copy it, and in here let me give names. It is going to provide the name of the availability zones in the respective region. Now let us see what is this for each meta argument. So for each is a meta argument defined by the Terraform language, and the for each meta argument accepts a map or a set of strings. You need to remember this is very important. A map or a set of strings, and creates an EC instance for each item. So it says that it is equivalent to count, but some additional work is done with respect to count. So it does some additional work. So count only gives the count.index. But when you are using for each, you will be able to pass set of strings or maps. And in here, there is no concept of 0, 1, 2, 3 like that what we saw in counts in our previous session. And as I said, this is the important thing which you need to remember, that it accepts a map or a set of strings. So in here, if you put some values like for each equals to, let's say, US East 1A, then US East 1B, like that. If you give like this, okay, then this is a list which you are going to pass for in for each. As I said, lists are in square brackets, so this will be failing. So in here, if we put this also, data dot availability zone, this one in here, so this one will also be failing. So to convert this list, we need the TwoSet function. So what is this TwoSet function? So this TwoSet function converts its argument to a set value. Okay, like if you take this example, it is taking these strings, okay, and delivering the output in this format. So there's no changes in here. But if you take this example, in this example you can see that these two are strings, A and B are strings, but 3 is a number. If you see here, since Terraform's concept of a set requires all of the elements to be of the same type, mixed type elements will be converted to the most general type. So here the most general type is string. Okay, so that's why this 3 was converted to a string over here. Similarly, in here you can see that this is unorganized. Also, it has duplicate values. So the output is organized and a duplicate value has been removed. Set collections are unordered and cannot contain duplicate values. So the ordering of the argument elements is lost and any duplicate values are coalesced. So with that said, we are going to have TwoSet function over here, and list of availability zones whatever we are getting from data availability zone my a zones names for this for each. So let me just comment it here, like create EC2 instance in all availability zones of a VPC. Done. And in here this should be TwoSet function which will be converting it. So this should be like this. So our for each is there, done. Now for this for each, you will be having a key and a value, each dot key and each dot value. So what is this each dot key and each dot value? As you see in this basic syntax here, this is the each dot key and this is the each dot value. Okay, similarly this is the each dot key and this is the each dot value. But for set of strings, each dot key is similar to each dot value. So if you are given like this in TwoSet, so each dot key and each dot value will be remaining the same. So you can give here each dot key, or even you can give here each dot value. I hope I'm able to understand. So with that said, I'm giving the availability zone and let it be each dot key. Fine. So this is done. Now next thing what we need to do is we need to change the tag, and we need to change that. Let me remove this, and in here let me just make the changes. So in name, let me give this as for each demo like this, and here I need to give it each dot key. Even I can give here each dot value. Let me give it as each dot value so that I can make myself clear whether everything is fine or not. So here each dot key or each dot value will have the availability zone name where the instance gets created. So this value will be provided over here. So for each demo hyphen each dot key or each dot value. Okay, this availability zone name. So we have completed our EC2 instance. Let me save it, and the code changes were done, and we have also added the data source over here and then implemented the for each over here. Now we need to work on output, which is this one. So before working on output, let us go to our command prompt and then run the Terraform init with this whatever is there in here, and let us see whether we are getting the result or not. So let me go to Terraform bins, then here YouTube 5th session, and let me run Terraform init. So I'm having an issue in here. What is the issue? In 19 EC2 instance.tf, in 19 there's some issue. I'm well aware why it happened, because I missed to remove this. This should not be there because we are using for each. For that purpose, count won't be there. That's why I'm getting the error. So right now the terraform.init is running, and which will be initializing and downloading the local backend. So I'll pause the video until the terraform init completes. Now let us run terraform validate command. So the terraform validate command is also successful. This means that our configuration is fine. Now when we run this terraform plan, this will be failing. So I have run this will be failing because it is going to do the functional validation internally, then it is going to execute the plan. So you can see here it failed with unsupported attribute, okay, for the output configuration file. So why is it so? So it will find out that when you are using this for each, the splat operator is not supported. This is because splat operator will only output the list, and list is equivalent to count, whatever you are using. But for each, as I said earlier, it is very important to remember for each only supports map or a string. So with that said, let us go to our outputs, and in here let me just make the changes. Let me delete these two, and also this one let me delete. In here let me do one thing, output, and let me change it hyphen EC2 instance public IP. Okay, then instance public IP, and let me give the same in the description too. So we need to use the for loop to create the list output. Let me just hash this out, and in here value for instance in what should be it? AWS instance dot myec2 VM. Okay, myec2 VM instance dot public IP. Fine. Similarly, for my public DNS also, I can do the same. Let me just copy it and paste it over here. Public DNS, and this one will be DNS. Now let me save it and let me run the plan again. And I believe this should be working now. So you can see my Terraform plan executed successfully. Now let me find out what is the public DNS for each availability zone. So in here let me give one more comment, public DNS for each AZ. And in here, let me just copy this one and paste it in here. And this should be 2. I can give the description as for each AZ. And in here, it will be for first and foremost thing. This should be in this. Okay. For AZ instance in AWS EC2 instance like this, then AZ should be like this. Okay. So this is it. And also I would like to say that if you want, you can put this TwoSet function over here. So there won't be any changes to it. It will be the same result which we will be getting as it's already a list. So let me just save it and run this again. Terraform plan. So this is fine. And you can see here that it is giving 6 EC2 instances with different AZ. So as per our configuration file, there are 8 resources which will be built once we run this. Why is it? 6 EC2 instances in 6 AZ and 2 security groups, one for SSH and the other one for web, which will be running. So let's run the Terraform apply right now. And let me give this as auto approve. So this will be running, and for each and every instance it will be installing the Apache HTTPD. It will be creating the static website and everything will be done. So I will pause the video until this is completed. So you can see that 6 EC2 instances have been created over here. The total resources are 8 with 6 EC2 instances for each availability zone. We can go ahead with our AWS management console and we can show, let us see whether those have been created or not really. So you can see that it has been created with the name, as I said, the availability zone name at the last, and also in the tags also you can see that it has been mentioned. So we are done with our today's session where we saw for each, and also we saw the TwoSet Tomap functions. Now let us proceed with the destroying of this resource. So we'll be meeting in our next sessions with some other topics on Terraform on AWS. I hope you have enjoyed the session and you have gained some knowledge on top of it. So please do comment on your and give us your feedback. Also please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Stay safe.